Hey everybody, hi, this is Samrat Kishore. I welcome you all once again to the Baseline Show. We do this every Wednesday at noontime in EST at 6 p.m. Central European Time and 9:30 p.m. in Indian Time. We invite world leaders from all across the world from various industries, and we talk to them about various data sharing trends and multi-party workflows, and we try and explore use cases for baseline protocol. And today we have as our special guest Lloyd Keays. He's not a unknown face to the baseline community. He has been with us since a very long time. He's been supporting us in various forms. He was also present at the Amsterdam based event. That's when I got to meet Lloyd for the first time, and I thoroughly enjoyed our chat that we had. Welcome, Lloyd, to the show.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for accepting the invite to do this show with us, and also for sharing your ideas that you're going to share today. I'm sure it's going to be a different kind of show overall, because you're going to talk to us a little more about what we should do to take baseline to the masses, and also a little more about your ideas, right? So a lot of interesting things for all of us. And Lloyd, congratulations on also the recent launch of your course on the value of blockchain for leaders. I would definitely post the link with the show's link, so that people can reach the show, reach the course, and it has a great uptake. All the best for that.
Thank you very much. So, do you think you could put me as a presenter? I'll share some stuff, please. So, hi everybody. So, who am I? Why am I speaking to you? I'm actually a bit nervous. I come from the world of business. I'm a senior architect in procurement business networks, so business to business for SAP. That's my background. That's what I know. I'm also a historian. That's what I've been trained. I was born on before the internet. But the reason I'm here is I was detached for almost 1 year to the specialized blockchain research team within SAP, the company I work for in Germany. I think I recognize some faces here that I've interfaced while doing in this fellowship. The reason I did this fellowship is because I was realizing already a couple of years ago that there was a decentralized world emerging, and it meant something for a company such as SAP. I'll speak with this in a second. And we kind of needed to wake up. So basically, I've tried to, as a result of this 1 year with this team, I did develop this course, which is a very level 0 blockchain, but for 4 weeks long, right? And 27 modules. It means that it takes you from the principle of what way is it a big deal all the way up to decentralized application at the end, with a week on decentralized identity on its own. With guests, I have the European Union, UNICEF, Oxfam that came our guest speaker on the course, and it's free for anybody. That's SAP lets us do courses. So thank you that I've done my advertisement. Now let's go into a little bit about this topic while I'm here. So my role, what I do as a job, my job is to typically talk with technical people and talk to client and try to make both of them understand each other. That's very much where I sit in. This is what I do for my bread and butter. And I'm very much stuck at the moment with a very interesting baseline that I understand. I would not be able to code a bit, but I understand the principle and I find them very exciting. And oh my God, explaining this to business people, right? So I want to bring you a little bit into this world of this world of reality. So let me just try to go down here and share screen. I don't know if it lets me share a camera. Let me just see here. Share advance. Share content on second camera. Share. And is it working? Is it not working? Yeah. Do you see, is this working, right? Just can
Yes.
confirm.
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I
Okay.
perfectly.
see you in
Yeah. Okay.
space.
Yeah, well, in space. For once, I could actually do something without SAP branding. So what I'm going to tell you today is my personal vision. I'm speaking with my knowledge of SAP, but I'm not telling you what SAP's policies are. This is at the moment they're still trying to figure it out. So I'm just giving you the vision and where I see some challenges. So will this work? So I will start with the fundamental question that everybody is asking on everything: is what does it do? Why am I starting with this? If you think about baseline, they're going to tell, what does it do? That's what everybody wants to know. But actually, when you start speaking with people, nobody does that. They always answer what it is. There's a big difference between what it is and what does it do. What it is more when you go to university and school and you learn something academically into the details and the structure and the intelligence. What does it do is let me eat the cupcake first, and then we'll talk about the ingredient. And what does it do, just to give you an example, because this is, for me, a very big challenge, is to explain to non-Web3 people baseline, because they're asking me what does it do, and I need to show them demos, and I severely lag them. So if I give you an example for SAP, most of you maybe have heard the name. We compete, but we're the second biggest IT or computer company, or technology company in the world, after Microsoft. We're not that known because we're behind the scene. We are business to business, so we rarely do interface with consumer. But if you look at this web page of SAP, you can read this, and I would suggest don't read it. This was just to give you a bad example. Is if you read this, you are not getting the what does it do. You're just getting some blah blah about what it is, and it's very, very difficult to grasp what it does. So I'm going to do this now, this what it does. So basically, oh my God, this sounds so complicated. Yeah, let's go and check on YouTube instead. That's probably what people will do to try to figure it out. So to explain you SAP is, let's say, an operating system for businesses. So, and it's relevant because baseline could fit in everything I'm going to tell you in a second. Imagine that you are a company that makes bicycles, and you want to open a new plant and win all Asia, right? You want to go to Thailand, a big plant, and build a manufacturing process and the bicycle, and you want to really enter that market. Let's imagine that. And for this, you have received from investors, if this works, you have received from investor a lot of money, millions of money to do this. And so those millions, right? You can't just, play with it in cash and give it around. You need a system to actually manage it, put it in the bank, liquidity, how much do you have, reporting at the end, did you make sales, all blah, blah, blah. All the things that financiers do, they use a specialized set of tools. And I call that a metro line for finance. And the first thing typically that you're going to do with this money is you're going to hire people. And you're going to pay them, and you're going to maybe fire them later, but you need to train them. Someone will retire in the future, so you need another set of tools to do this. What you're going to do with this money, again, you might actually hire a bunch of marketing people, and they will develop a web shop where you can sell your bicycles. Or you're going to go and hire a bunch of salespeople that are going to go talk to different cities and say, we're going to install you 10,000 bicycles, and you're going to become green. And those people are going to travel, and they're going to go into different places, and they're going to try to sell and pick up the phone and those kind of things. Now, you see my lines are building, and each one of them, they're always specialized tools. If you look at travel, you have to book an airplane, and you have to find a hotel, and then after that you will need to reimburse those people. This is not private, right? This is all businesses. So this little guy here in the middle of my screen, it's called a sales order. That's the yoo-hoo, we won. That's the bell, we made something, we sold something. That means that we're about to make money. So this makes typically everybody happy in a company. If you are this bicycle company, you're going to trigger now supply chain. That's where the real work's going to do, where you're going to bend metal and shape and buy maybe gears, and Shimano, that has a monopoly around the world, to put the different pieces, and you're going to make this together. You're going to make the bicycle, and you're going to package them and ship them, and all that work. That purple line here is the supply chain work that does this. I have two left in my Metro map. I have one which is called procurement. That's the red tape. Believe me, this is my area of expertise. I'm an expert in red tape now. I hope not. But procurement, and I see some people on the that will like that the word that I use. I see them on the guest line. They will provide procurement provides or gives to the employees and everybody what they need. That includes paying the electricity bills in the office, getting toilet paper in the toilets, but also a pump that needs to be replaced. Depending on what they do for those bicycles, they might buy the tires. And so anything where you spend money in a company typically should go or tries to go under this procurement. Now, of course, if you're a very small company, you don't really have all this. You will do all this, but in a small scale. But if you're a very, very large company, Coca-Cola, Nestle, Unilever, Shell, BP, they all have this in their system. The last piece left here is invoice and payments. Suppliers, so people that you bought some photocopy paper, they want to be paid. And typically in this world, they will be paid, but with a delay. They will be paid in 30 days, in a month, or in 2 months. Now, this Metro map is what SAP does. We sell this basically to our client. And if you are a bank, well, you have zero need for supply chain. That's not something you do. So we won't sell you that. But if you are a mining that digs gold in South Africa, we will do this. And about 70% of the world economy will touch one of those lines on an SAP system every day. So this is what we do. And going back to my analogy at the beginning, when I was talking about baseline, I'm dying to have this kind of explanation to what baseline does. So it's a call to everybody that is creative to try to bring this kind of things, because now I hope you understand where I am from when I talk about SAP. I'm going to go now into more details about linking baseline with this world. But everything, all the dots, they are not, there are many, many more stations in the Metro line. This has been greatly simplified, but most of those dots might have something to do with baseline in the future. Move yourself 20 years in the future. If you do, I don't know, an approval for an expense of a travel, maybe this is something that can be done by an external provider under zero knowledge proof. You know, anything in here might have potential to have either baseline, either SSI, or disruption in the world coming up in the next, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years for sure, because the world is changing. I think blockchain has brought an alternative form of trust. Basically, you can trust by the internet instead of trusting in good faith. And that is very transformative. So I'm going to stop here because I'm just going to try to finish my slide and start a discussion. So my little wish here and with a little wink is a baseline. What does it do? Not what it is. If it's a call to innovators, because that would help explaining to people what it's all about. So about that. So let's go into more details of what I feel and what's happening, and some of the things that are in my head when I was interfacing with baseline. So those companies, so let's say this is the Metro map of a company, is very much a Karen, if you know the meme. It's my company. It's unique and special. Believe me, and I'm paying you because I'm special. Basically, I'm paying you because I did something wrong and I configured it wrong and I still want it to work. So you cannot tell me that I'm wrong, but you still need it. A beautiful example, Anglo American, which is a very big mining company in South Africa, used the wrong South African rand, so the money of the abbreviation of the money in their ERP system, they use the wrong one. And it's so difficult to change that they've never changed it. So you have US dollar and all those codes. And this company, which is a very, very large company, has an exceptional one when it comes to their own country, because they made a mistake and they never corrected it. This world of my company is special is, it's just like individual. It's almost as how many, the different clothing that we put on. Each company will develop itself and advance and start different routes, different ways. And it will end up that at the end, it becomes very, very different. And the challenge when it comes to the world, this used to be the space, and you had different planet, but I left my Karen in the background, is that every single company have different preferences. I love PDF. Oh, you can call me to order something. And I keep, SAP is a German company, and I keep like teasing my colleague in Germany that most of the universities in Germany at the moment requires to get orders by fax. When it sends for purchase order, they're required by fax. Still today in Germany. Probably most of you are born after the fax. Fax is the time of Ronald Reagan, and it's I don't know, 40 years old, I think. It's still today, it's very prevalent. And those companies, they all want to do this. So you're trying to talk baseline to those people, and it's painful. So in here, I'm going to now move to, okay, the other thing is that if you are this company in the middle and you need to talk to those people, it means that you need to keep your address book updated with everything on each one of them. To give you a scale, a company like Nestle worldwide would have maybe 30 to 40,000 suppliers. The same with large company like Shell, BP. They will have in the tens of thousands of suppliers worldwide. They have teams of people working full-time at their computers to just manage the supplier addresses and information and bank details and things like this. So it's a very, very complicated problem that people don't like to harmonize anything. They like to be special. We come to the business network, because SAP has developed it comes from Ariba. If you've heard this name, I come from this company that was acquired by SAP. It's like a smaller fish that was acquired by a bigger one, but it has developed for almost, I'd say 18 years now, a network of companies to try to help that, to try to add it. I'm just going to restate 18 years, right? We're trying to do this. And in here, what we see, and I'm just going to show you here something. This is an invoice. This is an invoice on the network. It's an old screenshot that I just couldn't find, so it's actually 2018, but it's the same principle. Just look at an invoice, an electronic invoice from a company. You have some errors that just automation to try to avoid them making mistakes, but look at the different number of tags here that are at the top here, around here, and think this depends on from which country to which country. And it's very different also if you buy something which is a pump, or if you buy a service from a lawyer, or if you buy some bread, the different tax levels. And after that, you have shipping information, how it's been shipped. Are you paying for the shipping? Are the other ones free shipping? Is it different at different, the line levels are going to come anyway. The payment terms, here, there are some people doing exploration. There's innovators, I think, on this call doing innovations or searching for innovators on invoice factoring. So basically, this company has been told that you will be paid when you send this invoice in 1.5 months, in 45 days. But if you're willing to give me 3% discount, then you'll be paid in 20 days. And if you just, you want to give me 2% discount on this invoice, you'll be paid in 30 days. This principle of payment terms is quite something, because now you can think of tokenized invoice around this behind the scene. I'm just going to leave it there. But continue here. This is additional fields. This is very much where this Karen comes back, where each company says, oh, I want this information and this one and this one and this one and this one. And then finally, moving up to the other side of an invoice, you have line items. This is, what is it that you're asking? So this was for a person, so a service, a database consultant. He worked for maybe just an hour for $120. And then there is taxes again, and location, and different things, and so on. My message here is, in the world of baseline, where you think about OASIS Foundation and harmonization on a universal standard to do this, it's going to clash a lot with the desire of every company to be unique. Just be prepared mentally, or think of new technologies to try to address that. I think that's an opportunity that is there. If I move to the network, how it is today, we have buyers on one side, we have suppliers or sellers on the other side, and then we have this business network in the middle that exists. And this business network, it's about it has 4 million suppliers, I think. It transacted about $3 trillion. That's the GDP of Germany last year. And it's bigger than Alibaba and Amazon together in terms of transactional value. And it's about 2 million transactions per day that are happening. Just to give you, it's not known, but it's a large thing. And everybody says internally, the first one we say, but oh, the network in the middle, we are the network that's important. It's the transaction, it's the middle. And I'm just saying, well, I'm not so sure if it's the middle, the centralized part, that's so interesting about what we do. I think that what's the most interesting part is that we actually, one by one, transferred their own system into an XML format that we developed, and we did the same on the seller side. Sometimes it's a website. And I think that the value that we have delivered is this one much more. The network in the middle, nobody cares. You could send an XML file via an email, as long as you have a little RPA on the other side to actually punch that XML and put it back into your system if it's the same size. You see what I mean? So the middle network. So when it comes to baseline, and I speak to colleagues and I speak to people about the baseline, it's always very much presented that it's there to bring and solve this company-to-company issue. And I believe very strongly that this is the way to the future. I'm not negative at all. I'm just questioning here. I keep having this feeling that someone is very, very much underestimating the problem of aligning every single company on Earth to one format. We have probably 300 people working around the world in different offices. We have, I think it's in Prague, and it's in Pittsburgh in the United States. It's in Sao Paulo in Brazil, and in Singapore. We have those teams of people just connected in each region to talk to companies and helping them. And one large client connecting to, so the metro map of a new client that wants to onboard, you're talking about 6 weeks of work to actually align all this. So here again, I think for me, for the baseline community, there is an opportunity in trying to see, is there a way to ease or bridge or help or think about how this will be achieved? Because I suspect this might be the bottleneck. Or how can you motivate a buyer to actually onboard and do the work? Because you're asking them to put their own employees into connecting and standardizing to a format, or OASIS Foundation or the other one, but to a format in order to do baseline whatever they're going to do. And it's difficult. I suspect that if you were able to find a way that if you do this, you're going to drip crypto into yourself, you're going to, this magical Web3 world will be able to drip you some crypto because of the transaction that you're doing there. And there is mechanism that actually can achieve this. It might help incentivize, make company want to do this work, or this is an opportunity for innovators, partners to actually try to find this. But this is my view about this, is the underestimation of the complexity of making everybody speak a universal language. So the last thing I want to say here about is baseline is my experience internally when I've been internally, but I've also spoken to clients that are not from the Web3 space, that have a limited understanding of this, but they are the one that are the managers and the decision maker, or they are the one that have the money in the pockets to agree to work on this, right? So they're important people. So what do you think excited them about this? Where did they wow, oh yeah, oh that's new, that's interesting? Is it blockchain? Is it Web3? Is it tokenization, liquidity pools, or zero knowledge proofs, if they ever can understand what that means? But and guess what? No, what actually excited them incredibly is, wow, you can send a purchase order on a peer-to-peer jump. It's Napster, but for business documents. That's cool. So it was funny too, because understanding the added value that Baseline gives in terms of Web3 potential is probably too difficult to grasp. But if they grasp the fact that there's no database in the middle, and it's a direct jump from one to the other in a universal way, that they get. And this a lot of company wants, if you can get rid of a middle and it's there. I'm not saying that, I'm actually saying that SAP is in trouble, because I think that since we have all this wealth of XML in the middle, we can probably also do the P2P jump ourselves in the middle. Let's park this here. But that was kind of what I wanted to discuss with you, or to expose to you my views and my perception about this. And I'm going to open for questions. Just realize that I am not extremely technical. I understand. I'm good enough. I know what, I know a virtual machine and Solidity code that is deployed on smart contract. I will understand that zero knowledge proof principle, but I am not a developer. So please.
Thank you, Lloyd. That was exceptionally well explained, and I'm sure the others would agree that we all had a great time walking through that. I see Andreas wants to ask a question, but I want to ask you a question before I pass it on to him, which is the opportunity right for companies to start creating XML connectors so that baselining can happen easily?
So there is already a partner doing, I don't remember, but I think in Holland, I live in Holland. I think there is already a partner of SAP that has done the mapping from our we call it the CXML, but it's an XML format to Oasis Foundation. So I think, yeah, it all depends what you want to do with the data, right?
Super. Okay, I pass it on to Andreas.
Lloyd, I have a question for you. Have you talked to sales guys and their frustration with their production lines because they never have the inventory that they claim they have?
Well, it's a known issue, right? So inventory, especially in a world, right, where we keep having disruptions. I mean, any company at the moment that in Europe that has to do with producing something with gas. I live in Holland, and they're stopping putting the little beans into pots because it's too expensive to heat the pots. They're literally stopping the production, the company. So the supply chains are heavily disrupted. So yes, visibility, availability of stocks. This is, everybody talks about that.
So what if I told you that the production guys could never like bullshit you?
Well, my honest response is that typically, if you are in a very high level production, your supplier do not bullshit you. You send a forecast, and the forecast will be responded honestly with, no, I cannot deliver this in 2 weeks. So that would be my honest answer. I get what you're saying. I understand that if you could prove the inventory on the other side and make sure that you'd have no doubt that it will be there, it would be a very big plus. I'm just saying that the real world is probably already still doing that.
What if I told you that SAP could add that to each of their business processes or to their databases as a simple module? and add it as one extra field in their data flows.
Well, I think yes, I think you should absolutely be discussing with us. I think you should very much discuss
because
with us.
that's what baseline is, right? It's like that's the what does it do?
Yeah.
Right. It prevents you from lying.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. It just prevents you from lying even within a company, right? Because as we all know, Nestle is a great example. They spent what, like $5 billion on SAP harmonization over a what 6 or 7 year time frame because and they had moderate success, so they gave you a lot of business, right?
Well, I will not comment on this one part. I'm still an employee.
I know.
SAP,
I just happen to know. Yeah, I just happen to know, and they are basically just like 50 different companies. They're suppliers to one another, and they're basically untrusted multi parties, right? Even within the same organization, even holding. So just the simple fact that you can prove that someone is not, that they are actually saying the truth rather than bullshitting you, because they cannot do anything, right, that is not true, because the system does not allow them to say that, because the system prevents them
see,
from
absolutely.
from
Look,
lying.
I completely understand the value. I mean, if you could just ask, do you have stock to inventory? And that answer is responded by an algorithm that actually lets you know yes or no that you do have the stocks or you don't have the stocks, without having intervention in the middle is of course, yes. So I'm with you on this. I agree. And this, yeah, it just needs, and you're talking to someone that's converted, right? But so
no,
I
but
understand.
my point is like the value prop is to sales guys is you will never overpromise in your company, under delivers, because production was not up to speed, right?
Just realize that often the production, the disruptions are not necessarily caused because of lying. It's often caused because there is a hurricane that hit Florida. So any fruit manufacturers will have issues, right? People who make orange juice and candies for Halloween have
but
problems.
You know how production works, right? It's like you get an order from another buyer in that has higher priority, and then all of a sudden the orders from the others get kicked down. Right. Yeah. So in terms of priority and everything, and then the excuse is, oh, we have supply chain issues. I'm sorry, but like, so the and then the guy who's the key account manager gets dinged on commissions and everything. So it's about aligning incentives and preventing lying, because in a company no one trusts one another. If I've never seen a company where people trust each other internally, ever.
Yeah,
Andreas,
when it comes to money, no. Not when it comes to money.
You have valid points here, and I don't know if it's necessarily as nefarious as you're making it out to be. I think it really, the root cause breaks down in the transparency, in the chain reaction that's all interconnected, that we're discussing through things like the supply chain. These systems are difficult and costly to stitch together, different taxonomies and data formats so they can communicate. There's always people in the middle. But like, if you remember being a child and playing the telephone game, right, in kindergarten. It's like that message changes, somewhere down the line by time it gets to where the outcome needs to be communicated. And where baseline shows promise is putting speed, visibility, and control through transparency by connecting all these different parties to be aware of changes and what the consequences could be. I think that that's really where the element is that we should talk about the procedural efficiencies and benefits that the baseline pattern can provide, not necessarily just saying everybody's a liar and you can't trust the people. Granted, there are, circumstances of that, but I think it's less
lying.
malicious by intent, and it's more just accidental.
Lying. People lie all the time, not out of.
They lie out of
say that
hope.
was rhetorical, yeah.
So we got to be highly differentiating. People are lying because they don't know any better. It's still a lie, objectively. So it's the point is that you're right. It's transparency, and you were saying different data formats. Baseline obviates the need for data format harmonization.
Correct.
That's the whole point.
I think for me, what crosses
that's a key point, right? Because you're just throwing something that's entirely opaque into something that's entirely opaque, and you get a yes or no answer out, right? And I think that's very simple.
So where my brain often goes into this is where you have to have an incredible amount of companies. I think carbon CO2 tracking, CO2 production tracking is let's solve first of all, someone will come up with like a universal ISO standard, how to calculate it, and let's get that story out like in a magic box. Let's say that it's solved. But if I can tell my colleagues, yes, we cannot ask the entire world to come on the Ariba network, right? That's not going to happen. So something like a baseline here has a universality that makes something like this probably the only way possible to do something like this, by also anonymizing. Companies are very protective about, they don't want to show who their suppliers are to, you don't want to show who's in front of you, who you sell to, and you don't want to tell anybody else who you bought from, but you still want to get the data coming from behind, hidden from whom it is, but still having a secure, and like you said here, a trustable form of data to pass on, so that ultimately you have a QR code on your toaster and you can see it has 200 parts coming from 20 different sorts of suppliers and sub-suppliers and sub-suppliers, and it accumulated all the carbon into one place. This is very, very inspiring, because it's literally, it's so incredibly difficult to do something like this.
Yeah, I think it's not even just where you don't want to disclose, Lloyd. There's laws that prevent that data from being shared beyond first party relationships, right? So this is where the governance through these structures needs to be well thought through. The people need to be educated on the procedural changes that could occur without violating the governance and privacy that is restricted by law, until we can standardize it in broad scale to change the legislation to open up that. But I think that the emphasis that goes unrealized by a lot of the audience is the privacy preserving elements.
Absolutely.
That the baseline pattern provides. But to Andreas's point, that without the need to harmonize data sets that don't work together, that's the real differentiator. Because anybody can dump a bunch of data into a cloud-based data warehouse and then try to divvy up and sell or whatever who has access to that data. But you've now centralized it into a honeypot and given complete custody and control to third parties or unknowing parties, just given where it all went. I mean, look at what happened with the race for collaboration with the vaccine efforts and everything. Billions of dollars in IP is gone out the window, because now these people that have invested in the research and development are unsure who actually has custody and control of those assets.
Absolutely. I think you're pointing out here, and of course, the regulation aspects. Everybody, for us, when we talk about this, we are so SAP is involved in it's called Catena X, and they do automotive. It's a group of automotive companies that get together to try to, and they're mandated to be decentralized by a government entity in Germany that actually pushes or sponsors them. But this carbon tracking is completely in the heart of this, because hiding or protecting the privacy of the carbon from when it's produced, when it's given to someone else, when you pass on the ball, you don't want to be traceable back to you. You want to, because of many reasons. Sometimes it can just be you don't want to have an IP, and you don't want to know people would know who made it or something like that, reverse engineer. It's not just that you want to hide because you don't want to show how dirty you are or something like that. So I think this is an absolutely benefit of having a trustworthy, but without showing the source. And it's, like I said, trustworthy, and this will apply to any kind of form of traceability. It can be also, the toxicity of material that goes into baby powder or something like that. That those kind of things. Anything of traceability is going to be liking this very much.
Yeah, I mean, we're personally working on use cases surrounding ESG for that exact example, where it's like, look, if the carbon offset that I'm paying for my participation in a baseball game plants a tree in the Amazon, prove to me that nobody else is claiming that tree as part of their offset.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Tokenization and all the long tail way to go about doing that with the traditional blockchain approaches, it's heavyweight, and it's candidly, for the people that are coming to these problems without being in the early stages and understanding blockchain, it's overwhelming. And it's kind of a bloated approach for them to be able to just provide evidence of proof in something so simple as that. But it's difficult for them to even do if you're just tokenizing it and people are exchanging these tokens in different exchanges, right? It's like, where do you need to prove something? Not necessarily where do you need to tokenize something. Completely different, different questions to be having with the certain use cases that are infinite.
Yeah. And I go back to, I think of my colleague trying to explain them. I'm just like, oh, please go see my course, and then we'll have a conversation after. But that's, but yeah, I can't do that, right? I'm a bit arrogant here. But
the way you explain things today, I'm sure your courses and your Techsplained videos, I'm sure I'm going to go through most of them now. I see them featured on your LinkedIn profile as well.
I don't think we can hear you very clearly with your mic. It's not audible.
It's getting static from your microphone, Sam, right? Yeah.
But
Wait, I got a question for you. So we
God.
talked about a number of applicable use cases here today, and in your experience there, certainly within Ariba and there at SAP, I'd be curious to understand if there have been any kind of type of use cases within the context of this baselining framework that we haven't really addressed today, but that you see as being relatively core and foundational to SAP processes, that comes to mind that maybe hasn't been as explored as much as we might have otherwise done so at current point today.
So like I said, right, let's say the blockchain expertise within SAP, we have quite an expertise in permission blockchain, right? But the permissionless blockchain expertise is a handful. So we have 100,000 employees, right? But yeah, just to put it out there. So the cases that we have explained, it's more of an idea of being exposed to ideas. I was thinking lately, one of the product that is actually, at least on my radar very much, is about asset management. You have a windmill in the middle of the ocean offshore, and it needs maintenance. You need a digital twin running it, seeing the maintenance, this, that, collaborating with many companies to actually get them there, and this and that, and managing this asset, maybe renting this asset to someone else for a certain amount of time. Think of a big Caterpillar truck or something like that. So this asset management. And this is, at least in all SAP, it's the closest to Web3 that I've seen in terms of, it has digital twin, they understand this, they understand that, there's analytics, there is ongoing, there's collaborative, there is a lot of things that accumulates there to say, that it might be there, that's going to pop out. But I think here, again, baseline might be interesting as well because of, once again, protecting privacy or guaranteeing the exactitude of the data that is used, whomever did a repair, a log file of who happened to which time, leaving a stamp, leaving this, leaving. So there is lots of things around that in terms of, and it's called asset management and collaborative asset management, which is interesting. It's in the supply chain metro line that I explained.
Thank you for that. It's a good one.
Yeah, Lloyd. Thanks again for being on the show. And as we discuss, what is baseline? I think a lot of times we get stuck on this kind of pendulum swing of explaining baseline as almost like a business process management, like a new form of business process intelligence regarding partners, just that without tokens. But then we swing the pendulum back to using baseline as this privacy preserving mechanism for smart contracts. And I think that's something, a challenge that the community can take on in terms of, how does the baseline pattern, really fit into, both of those places. I was going to ask you a more simple question, Lloyd, which was, other than your upcoming blockchain course, what is your favorite open SAP course?
There is a lot of them at the moment on SAP. Yeah, I think there was a series that were made around chatbot that excited me quite a lot. I was putting my hands on creating chatbots, and I thought that was very nice. And it was how to build them and using, and I've made myself a chatbot in Google Play, and I connected with an API with some of the system. I think this was one that I really, really enjoyed doing. So,
yeah. Yeah, for the audience, for people who want to just gain great career skills, Open SAP is just a fantastic resource. I've used it a lot, learned a lot from it. SAP always does, a great job with those courses.
The SAP doesn't control it, right? It's just a place where any employee can create whatever they want. Well, whatever they want. There is a red tape organization that checks that the pixels are good. Believe me, I was able to get there is lots of non-pixel that are not compliant. No, most of it basically. But the framework, because you have exercises, you have exams, you have this, and I was told in 1 week we're at 6,000 people registered for the course, right? So the sheer number, you don't want to have a bad answer on a certificate. You're getting like a tsunami of complaints. Yeah. But they're fun because, like I said, anybody in SAP can propose to make one, and there is no oversight in terms of content or something. So nobody has officially reviewed or veto anything in this course. I made them my ideas, and I just used the team backup to just make sure that everything was the most accurate as I could. I explain fundamentally business at the moment. If you think about this, they have no concept of a wallet, of a crypto wallet. That's inexistent. That is so difficult. That's an unspoken subject as well in companies. What are you going to do with a wallet? How are you going to someone's going to expend some Ethereum? How are you going to do this? Then accommodating the zillion of numbers after the decimal, SAP can't do it at the moment. We can't accommodate a Bitcoin.
You would count it in GUI, I think, right? And
yeah,
I think it needs a different kind of unit conversion inside of SAP entirely. You're right.
But we're not the only one, right? It's like they will all have similar issues. So this is very, very, the basic fundamentals are still there. And then there is the entire world of regulation about this. You see what the custody of cryptocurrency can be legal in some country and another one. And if we are an SAP and we're a global company, for us, it makes it almost impossible. We'll have to go partner with the local partners to actually do things like this, to be able to dispatch some of the risk back to the region. But companies in general are in the same situation as us. Crypto for businesses or crypto, the Web3 world, it's not, I know Baseline is not linked to crypto necessarily, but the Web3 world in itself is very challenging as a technology because of this lack of regulation around it. Yeah.
You don't need to hold crypto to use crypto.
No, yeah, I agree. So I digressed there because I was in a lot
no,
of
but it's like
conversation.
literally I'm having this discussions. If you can't hold like half an ETH or something like that yourselves on the books, use a third partner, and they're just signing all your transactions and done. It's like they're paying for your transactions and done. It's a solved problem, right? So the point is, it's a solved problem, right? Pretty much every single dApp does it now, right? They're all paying for their customers' transactions, most of them. So it is literally a solved problem. It's like if anybody goes like, oh, you can't just like, what's your problem? Pick a partner, use Coinbase, whatever. They'll pay for your transactions. You don't have to hold.
Agree, but you do realize that Coinbase uses banking systems that are developed by SCP, right? So
yeah,
no, but the point is the following. There is no regulatory exposure. So when I talk with compliance officers, it's like, what are you talking about? You're only interacting through fiat, right? It's like, now are you, so it's and of course, if you're using blockchain, if you're now holding actual digital asset, that's a completely different question. But for Baseline, you don't need that, right? The whole point is like, don't talk about blockchain. Don't ever, when you talk about Baseline, never ever talk about blockchain. It's completely useless. It is entirely unnecessary. No one cares. No one needs to understand. No one needs to know. They don't understand how SAP works, and they're still using it, like, extensively, and they have no clue how it works. And they're just trusting that SAP is it's exactly the same thing. It's like there's a provider who provides you a Baseline application and it works and it's great and it's wonderful. Who cares about the underlying
and that's
details?
basically my ask, right, to you guys, is bring that message out, right? So that's what I'm saying.
No, don't talk about blockchain ever, please.
I'm not talking about blockchain, but about
he's launching a course about blockchain, Andreas. That's too late.
Problem. It's too late. So it's like don't say it. It's like disavow blockchain. Say it's all a scam and it's bad. Don't talk about it. But use it underneath it. It's like, it's seriously. It's like, that's what I tell my student in my at Duke in my advanced blockchain course. It's about the TLDR is that most blockchain use cases are bad, a scam, or both.
Look, without going too much around this discussion, I understand what you do, but if I speak to colleague internally, it's not like I cannot speak about that. That's not possible, right? They need to know because they're going to code it, they're going to program it, they're going to work with it, they're going to integrate it. So it's not that I'm speaking to some you see what I mean? So yes, I understand in a client, you speak about the benefits and this and that, and you don't speak about how the sewing machine works. You just show the dress at the end, right? But someone will need to be able to actually put their hands in there and change the oil at some point. So that's more what I'm getting at. So, but I get it, right? On a functional standpoint, you don't need to explain how it works. It's not interesting.
Yeah, and even at the technical point, it's like you can do everything through third parties, and you don't need to do anything. That's the whole point. Right? It's not, it's like you shouldn't even be able to, it's a third party application that you're using, right? There's nothing magical about it, right? No. It's just a third party, right? You audited them once, you buy the application, you pay them a monthly fee, and voila, the magic happens. Right, that's the whole point. It's like simplify it as much. Don't let people like it's way too complex. I don't talk about zero knowledge proofs. It's just Your
No,
data is
you
hidden.
should, especially that one.
Never ever.
That's
never
the more
ever.
difficult one there is.
Never ever talk about it. People don't even understand what a digital signature is, right? Even though they're using them every single time they're opening a browser.
No, so it goes back to what I was talking about earlier on. My first message: talk about what it does and not what it is, right? And that's
Right.
exactly that, right? Talk about what it does. Tell me, give me a result. Show me a demo screens. I love demo screens. Even if it's, I want to see a purchase order, something that makes sense, and then I will understand because I'm not stupid. But if I have to read an abstract manual, it's going to be difficult. So that was what I was saying at the beginning as well.
Can
I'd
you
also
come
like
next
to
week, Lloyd?
plug.
And thanks for by the way, is my voice okay now?
Yeah,
Some-
your voice is
Okay,
perfectly
I just
back.
switched to another mic. So I was just saying thank you so much, Lloyd, for the insights and the communication switch. I think that is, and that's why I hope to invite you one of these weeks on our outreach call as well, so that all of us can talk about. Oh, I see. Yeah, we're gonna post that with our post. You can send that to me. I will post it.
I think it's been posted already. I see it. Thank you so much for posting.
I posted the link, but I will post this screenshot as well. If
I'm only paid by karma here. There is nothing. There's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
nobody makes money with this, but it's for your grandmother, right? So that's the audience.
That's super cool. In fact, Sonan and I should also have a chat with you about the ETH TQ initiative that both of us are part of, and Sonal is the chair of. So we should definitely catch up with you on a separate note. Okay, so that brings us to the end of a pretty interesting conversation with Lloyd Keays. Any closing thoughts, Lloyd, from your side?
Well, basically, it's this is cool. This is transformative. This is I'm ready for it. A disruption. I think this is something is going to happen, and that it's on this network that I showed earlier on. That would be there, and if it's not there, people are going to do it directly on each client's computers, operating on the Metro map themselves, right? So it's for us, and the message is for us is clear. We need to look into this, and then we're working. But I'm looking at you guys, thinking about if give me a little bit more of what it does, and I think it's good conversation here, so I can throw people as like go look at that. That's interesting.
Absolutely.
SAP should just build a baseline module and integrate it. No, I mean,
You'd be
you can do
surprised.
it.
I think some people are actually looking into this.
No, but I mean, it's like you can do it relatively simply without you don't even need blockchain in that at all. Whatsoever.
Okay,
Don't
so
say blockchain, Andreas.
yeah,
Huh?
just a couple of
Nothing. You don't need anything. It's like you can just exchange zero knowledge proofs.
We'll put it on Amazon Cloud Services. Does that work? No.
Huh?
Yeah. I'm teasing. Okay, so it's been great. Thank you very much for inviting me. I hope this was useful,
taking time
and I
out,
wish
Lloyd.
everybody a
Just
great day.
two parting
A great
thoughts from my
evening.
side
Thanks,
before we
Lloyd.
end the show. We have our general assembly in the next week, and our friends from Provide would like to make some massive announcement. So yeah, really looking forward to that one. And also, there was a whole week of crypto events in Singapore, and I was fortunate to attend some of them last week. And one small win, micro wins at a time. So one small win was that a lot of people recognize the name of Baseline Protocol amongst the Ethereum networks, and there were some events which were looking forward to having me there and sort of meeting me, understanding how to join the community. So I'm hoping that we will see a lot of traction sometime soon. I don't have a date. It was a mix of events, both business and technology people were there. But there are some hackathons coming up. There's also ETH India coming up, which is daily hackathon style, and of course multiple events across Bangalore. That's in December, and the biggest Ethereum event is also coming up. And who all are heading there? Are all you
Mark,
heading there?
Steve, Yoav, and I will be in Bogota.
Andreas too, right?
Yes, yeah, a lot of EEA members, some other community
be there.
member. Yeah.
So we have representation there, a solid representation there. Okay, awesome. So are you all going to join us from Bogota next week for the GA?
Hopefully.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. We'll be on the same computer.
Mhm,
Andreas
maybe.
and
All right,
I.
let's do that. Awesome. Thank you once again, all of you, for tuning in. And I think we had the longest living live audience today. So thanks to Lloyd once again.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you all.